driver of success in terms of protocols. I'm making my notes in real time right now. Okay, let's do this. Okay. So you are going to touch base on the understanding of GST, not in terms of good and service tax, but the understanding of, if I have to give it a full form right now, G would be for growth, S is success, and T would be trait of growth and success. And this would be in continuation to the discussion we had yesterday. So I'm putting myself on mute right now so that we can just collate the data set and then talk about it in detail. Particularly, we are talking about feedback loop. So let's talk about the drivers of success. I'm putting myself on mute, retrieving the data, and then we'll start off. Okay, we are going to talk about framework, the architecture, particularly for feedback in the augmented reality based on some of the parameters I wish to discuss today. If you have any questions related to the same, you can put your question in the comment box or the chat box, whatever you wish to call it. I'll be walking you through the tagging first, and then we'll look into the other parameters from the point of view of making it robust. At the same point of time, the feedback survey is based on detailed questionnaire. We are not interested in questionnaires whereby we are just putting out the question and we have answers to that, all of the above, and that doesn't work, where we are trying to prepare the augmented reality data set from the point of view to solve the problems of climatic change. So particularly, we are looking at the tagging of B. Don't take B as a blockchain here. We are taking B as bold, BOLD, because a lot of codes are being developed with the tagging process, and particularly the letter B is being taken as a block. And the funny part is, I did a lot of market research over the years, and particularly during the lockdown, few of the states, particularly in India, they are of the viewpoint like it has to do, blockchain has to do with, locking keys, all these, like if I have to just bifurcate, I mean, you will see people and folks who think they understand coding, that having multiple locks over the doors is something to do with the blockchain? The answer is big no. Blockchain is nothing to do with the artificial way of understanding things, because just few of the papers were published by few of the, I mean, researchers, because researchers are paid money for performing something which is being operated by global operators at any given point of time. However, the important understanding here is, just give me a moment before I start. I wanted to look into this. Let me just, okay, this was good. Because right now, a part of the society thinks that diamonds, which is again not renewable, it is not a very uh, the way the diamond is procured is not up to the standards of ILO, that is International Labour Organization. At the same point of time, right now, a lot of stones are being identified globally, which might have some value, particularly in Afghanistan. So that news is already there. One can look into it. So that is naturally available to something. So it's kind of a GI, that is kind of a geographical indication. Then you have particular stones, which is found in part of Turkey. Turkey is Turkey, and particularly there is a place in Turkey which is called as Princess Island. So Princess Island is an island, and you have to uh, go through the process from the land and go there, and then you have those um, I would say horse riding, all the mystical stuff, because Turkey has been known to be mystic for so many reasons over the years. I just wanted to share some data sets. So, I was waiting for the team to join in. So I'm just sending them a message. And also look into the word. Okay, B is not blockchain, anyhow, and also A is not Aligarh. Um, not Aligarh, not Aligarh, not Aligarh, and not AMU. So we have to negate this for now. I don't want to get into the data set why we are selecting this. It's just that few of the datas were striking so much to too many stakeholders. So I thought I'll discuss that. Okay, just give me a moment. I was just pinging the team. Okay, so there are 26 alphabets, the English alphabets, and English is the medium for communication for everyone globally. Having said that, all these letters have been utilized in different ways by different folks who claim to be the creators of whatever they are trying to create, and particularly taking blockchain into place, because a lot of things cannot be minted. When I say minted, is in terms of the coins, the metals, the rare metals, and whatever is required. And particularly, few of the folks are talking about gold, but nobody understands that the amount of gold or there in Indian temples is much more than any other place on this planet Earth right now. That being said, what is important here is to understand that with the smart contracts, a lot can be undone. But for the smart contract to work properly, one has to understand little bit about the protocols, because not everybody can be part of most of the protocols. There are just like everything has a protocol. Like if you're part of an organization or you're part of an institution, even say for example, we like it or not, when we sign up for any of the colleges where you take admission, nobody reads through the brochure and all. You just read the main points and we just leave it. And if you actually participate on those protocols, there's a lot written, there's underlying protocols. So those base layers we are negating right now, so that we can build something which is actually novel, not in terms of the novelty, because novelty per se is not understood by many in the world. However, when we are putting it into smart contracts, a lot can be done with the real data sets. So let's start with the understanding of, okay, B23K. Particularly, I will be talking about B23K 9/0737, and it is by magnetic means. And for controlling the welding parameters, we have B23K 9/09. Then, if we are utilizing for the monitoring and the control systems, there is something called as B23K 9/095. And when you are utilizing the computing powers or computing means, that can be PC, PLC, microcontroller, it comes under the bifurcation of B23K 9/0953. For the power supply, look into B23K 9/10 and auxiliary apparatus for the power supply. For the shielding gas, making use of shielding gas, that is B23K 9/173. So microcontroller control, that comes under the bifurcation of B23K 9/0953 if the inverter circuit or the inverter circuit itself is novel. Additionally, I like this application because, okay, so the feedback here is basically, I'm giving you 4-letter word here, and this is in small. C as in communication, T as in tango, W as in wire, D as in democracy. So this particular CTWD stands for contact tip to work distance feedback for augmented reality based on the welding output current and wire feed speed. So speed, rush, so many things are part of it. So this is particular welding process which is augmented. What is being done right now in terms of the protocols for the intellectual property is the common way of doing anything can be taught with the augmented reality to more folks. So upskilling is the need of the hour. So we have LEDs also. I'll just, okay. So I talked about CTWD. Then I'm just going to talk about a little bit about the framework style of this particular understanding of the data set in terms of creating a framework for the augmented reality in the welding field. So we are talking about a smart welding system which has a feedback loop, and particularly how it works is, we talked about CTWD. It compares it to the distance, and for the distance itself, I mean, the favorite formula is Pythagoras theorem. I mean, that's the simplest thing. Or you get into the understanding of taking the isosceles triangle at one juncture of embodiment, it would be the isosceles triangle. At the other junction, it would be the Pythagoras theorem. And if you take this as a controls data set and accordingly create the augmented reality, that would have less error in terms of the orchestration, even for the real world scenario. So this is basically using haptic, that is vibration, sound, light. Um, so distance, should the distance be controlled? That's a debatable topic, because it's not the distance, it is the right set of parameters which has to include the environmental parameters. For any of the augmented reality to work properly, when you're monitoring the augmented reality, you need to take into account the environmental factors. And for the environmental factors, temperature and pressure, and particularly I would say including Bernoulli's theorem would be a good way to have a comprehensive understanding of the system, which is very important. And then in this particular one of the cases is the possibility is it's a gas shielding welding method, um, with a wire that melts, and there are zillion, I mean the probabilities of having zillion welding power machines. So there's one way which I'm seeing right now, which is very, very important. Okay, we have somebody as a coder right now. Honestly speaking, I've been working with global coders, so I'm able to decode most of the code. So that is a good thing. I mean, every day I'm getting better with the coding process, which is good from the point of view of understanding the protocols. Particularly, this particular set of invention, which I wanted to talk about, is when should be, or when should the control unit become a monitoring unit? That is the question you need to answer right now in terms of creating that augmented reality with the characters. There are zillion probabilities and possibilities, and because of the probabilities and the possibilities, the creation, what we call in the patenting language or in the understanding of the protocol of intellectual property rights, which is I mean the data set is huge in terms of copyrights, because I still believe copyright is stronger than the patenting part, because patenting is just a capitalistic way of running the show in terms of so many parameters. At the same point of time, trademarking also becomes very paramount in terms of filing a same mark in different classes. What is a casual way of learning this aspect would be to understand. I mean, I think I have the example. Okay, yes, I do have the example. So this is the $1 trillion business, which I believe has, it is in everybody's workstation or whatever you want to call it, people who consume cafe. And this tenor, I mean this is a kind of a gold digger in terms of not only it solves the problem of providing that extra caffeine to the candidate, because now we are calling anyone and everyone candidate. I mean that makes life easy, because the blockchain which has been created in terms of the core blockchain which I'm talking about, we have candidates, we don't have admins, we don't have end users, because when the power is given to the admin, then the admin has the power to change a lot of things depending upon multiple parameters of just monitoring the stuff through the IoT is Internet of Things. And the good thing right now is at least the counterpart, which is India and China, they have realized that there is fighting is not going to resolve anything in terms of, if you see the IoT kind of landscape which China has, I mean, hats off to them. They have not only copied everything in a manner, they have actually deployed it. They have the use case studies. They have the C-band deployment of so many tech. Even if you just go to normal houses in China, you would see deployment of the communication network in a much better manner as compared to any other country in the world. That is a good pointer to start with. However, I wanted to discuss something around this. Okay. So, another parameter which needs to be taken into consideration when you're looking into the augmented reality, and particularly from the blockchain point of view, you don't have to go to polygons, ethereums, and all that, what has already been developed. We can start with a new framework which is based on, I mean, easily triple line parameters are there with me. And I was talking to somebody else in the industry from another part of the world. That understanding has given me the understanding of what can be made with the different portals which are very open right now. However, it is just the onboarding process is very different. One such parameter which I would like everybody to look into would be the deviation parameter. Because when you're creating these augmented reality landscape, you need to understand the deviation parameters. And there is something called as LUT. Let's see, what is LUT? So, not IUT, LUT. Okay. So we talked about CTWD. We have LUT. If for me right now, L is always latitude, U is universal, T is training, because I'm always training the data with a very controlled manner in terms of selecting the candidates based on a lot of factors. And this LUT here stands for lookup table. And you would see a lot of, usage of this particular word, which is relationship, particularly in the landscape of creating framework. Take a data set whereby take relationship equal to infinity. So if I have take the event, one would be relationship is equal to infinity. Second, the relationship is equal to 0. Third, relationship is equal to 10. If I just have to score from the score of 0 to 10. I mean, people who really understand the importance of cafe as compared to tea, you will be able to appreciate that the way the whole process of how coffee has been grown in this world and how it was introduced, it's a story altogether. I mean, there are so many chapters, and at any given point of time, if you go back to the data set of 10,000 years ago, you would see that folks were traveling in tribes. It's just that everybody wanted to keep their tribe in a manner whereby they can be bold enough to take decisions, and a lot of intermingling happened. I don't want to get into that data set, but the point here is I have given you a second data set, LUT. Let me give you another one, that is WFS. For me, W is World Wide Web. F is, okay, the first word coming to me is I don't want to talk about it, but the F would be, if I have to talk about F would be, I will come into this data, but the F which I wanted to use for the blockchain creation core would be food, because food is something which ties everyone together. And then we have the letter S. S can be savory, S can be sweet, S can be Switzerland, if I may say so. But here WFS is wire, feed, speed. So the definition here is wire, feed, speed for the welding process, which is taking into account the arc length and the welding voltage. And LUT reflects the effect of the charging wire feed speed on CTWD. So all the best with this understanding, and take the target here, if we have to take the target, as expected. So there are only two possibilities here, which makes life easy for the coding process, is expected, desired. The other one would be expected and desired. Both can happen simultaneously, given the data set is right. Thank you for watching it out and have a great day ahead.